Collector's item or cash grab? Let's talk about it. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Guitar Gear Trader. I am Steve, coming at you as always from Nashville, Tennessee. And today I want to talk about some new offerings from Gibson USA and talk about their relevance and if they are just cash grabs or are they true collector's items. We'll get into it in a minute. But before that, do me a favor, hit subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, follow me on Instagram at Guitar Gear Trader. It really helps out the channel, and I appreciate everybody that gets involved with me and with the channel, and I love talking to all you guys, so please help me out with all that stuff. So let's get into it. I am a collector of sorts. I like to collect guitars, and me personally, I like to have guitars that I could use. If I decided to play out with my band, I like to have a guitar that I know I can use. Do I use all these guitars? Absolutely not. Right here in the middle, hanging off of that Tennessee sign, is a collection that I literally have just because I'm a Beatles fan. So I do fall into that category of buying guitars, even though I have really no intentions on playing them. Those guitars are awesome, but none of them really suit the style that my cover band plays with, like 90s alternative rock. Couldn't I get that Gretsch Duo Jet to do 90s alternative rock? 1000%. But that's like a George Harrison signature model guitar that's absolutely mint. So I don't want to really ding it up or mess with it. I'm not a Strat guy, so I wouldn't use that Strat normally to get the tones that I want. And all those other Gretsches and Rickenbackers are just not going to get me the sound and the tone that I want. So that whole middle section there is pretty much guitars that I collect just to have in the collection. I don't typically buy signature model guitars. I don't like having someone's name on a guitar anywhere. And to be really honest, if you think about it, all the people that you like, all the guitar players that you look up to and you try to emulate, they didn't start off getting famous and writing all the songs that they did on signature guitars for themselves. They were looking up to the guitar players they liked and wanted to play the guitars that those guys played. And they got normal guitars from normal guitar stores or normal people and all that kind of stuff. Slash didn't have a Slash model. Slash actually used a Gibson knockoff, right, at the beginning of his career. A really good one, but it wasn't a real Gibson, the one that he played. John Lennon didn't play a John Lennon signature model. He played a Rickenbacker 325 that he bought at the store or that Rickenbacker gave to him. George Harrison, same thing. Paul McCartney, everybody, no matter who it is. No one starts with a signature model guitar. And there are a couple of different types of signature model guitars, right? You can buy guitar signature models that are claimed to be direct replicas of the original guitar that person used. So that Rickenbacker 325 that's hanging on my wall is supposed to be a recreation of the same 325 that John Lennon played. You know, there are the Greenie guitar, right? There's replicas in the standard line and the custom shop line and the Murphy Lab line of Kirk Hammett's famous, Greenie Les Paul. And it's supposed to be a replica of that actual guitar. Same thing with the Red Eye, right? Jason Isbell's Red Eye. There are replicas of that guitar. There are Slash models out there, snakebite models, whatever they're called. He has gold tops. He's got J45 signatures, right? And then you have the other type of signature model guitar. The signature model guitar that, to me, is kind of like a cash grab, and it kind of feels a little bit icky. But I also see how and why a company would make those And I also see why people would buy those. So I'm not going to knock anybody for buying these guitars that I'm going to speak about. And I'm also not going to knock the companies for doing it, because the company's main goal is to sell guitars, right? And I think a lot of us as guitar lovers and guitar aficionados and, collectors, we sometimes lose sight of the fact that these are companies and their goal is to make money, right? They want their customers to be happy. Yes, they want their customers to, love the brand, but in the end, they want to make money. That's how it works. And whatever they can do to make money, they're going to do it. So you can't fault companies for doing things like this. And the 3 guitars that I want to talk about all came out from Gibson, all came out last week. Everyone's talking about them. Everyone's doing, reviews on these guitars, or at least, one of them that you're able to buy right now. But it was an acoustic guitar, a Kirk Hammett Acoustic, a Noel Gallagher Les Paul, and a Bonehead Epiphone Riviera. Bonehead is the rhythm guitar player in Oasis, just so you guys know that. Now, one of those is a replica of the guitar that the artist played, and the other 2 are kind of just guitars that Gibson asked the artist, hey, what would your dream guitar look like? Or, hey, design a guitar and we'll slap your name on it. And that to me, I don't like that. If anybody listens to Avenged Sevenfold, I'm a big Avenged Sevenfold fan. I'm a big fan of Sinister Gates and Zachy Vengeance, and they have signature model Schecter guitars. And I'm not sure. I didn't do any digging on that, but I'm not sure if the Schecters they used were the models that they used prior to getting their names put on them. But at least they play those guitars, right? At least, Zachy Vengeance and Sinister Gates play the guitars that have their names on them. You can go to see an Avenged Sevenfold show and see Sinister Gates playing that tuxedo, pinstriped Schecter that he plays all the time, and all the different colors that he plays it. So you kind of feel like, all right, maybe I'm getting a little bit of piece of that. But these guitars that I'm going to show you, I don't think you're going to see that. So let's take a look. Okay, so I'm on Gibson's website right now, and the first thing that comes up when you open their page is 2 of the guitars that I want to talk about. The first one being this Noel Gallagher Les Paul Standard. Now, he is playing this guitar live, and he played this guitar live, I think, just to promote this guitar for Gibson. He's now in the UK. They made a couple of I don't know how many they played, maybe 25, 30, something like that. And he signed the back of them. I think they were custom shops, and they were a lot of money. So now they made a Les Paul Standard model of this guitar, and it's essentially a Les Paul Standard with P90 pickups, but the pickup covers are chrome, and the pickguard is black, and there's a chrome poker chip around the toggle switch for the pickup selector. This is really, the only thing that doesn't make me real angry about this is the price is $3,000. That's you're only paying maybe a $500 premium for this guitar. If you were to buy the normal version of this, it doesn't come in black. It comes in, I think, a gold top and maybe tobacco burst, a heritage cherry perhaps, and it has regular plastics for your pickup covers, black plastic or cream plastics, whatever it comes with, and a regular plastic poker chip that's in cream or something like that. And I think you can get those for around $2,500 or $2,700 normally. So the fact that this is right in the normal price range, so to speak. I mean, it has Noel Gallagher's signature on the back. It's a printed on signature that you can see right there. So it's like a silk screen. Noel Gallagher actually signed the backs of these bodies in the real fancy one that they sold in the UK. I don't know how many they made. It was a very small amount, but I'm sure they went for a lot of money. Now, Noel Gallagher does have some other signature model guitars. He has a signature model SJ200. He also has a signature model 355. But those guitars are modeled after the guitars he uses on stage. If you were to look, I followed Oasis ever since they came out when I was in high school. I've seen them 3 or 4 times. I just saw them in the reunion tour, and they were amazing. If you Google, live performances of Noel Gallagher and Oasis, he never played this guitar in his career until Gibson probably paid him or asked him to play this guitar at a couple of shows in the reunion tour. And this isn't a guitar that he's famous for playing. This isn't a guitar that you associate with Noel Gallagher. If you walk into a Gibson, showroom, you can point at guitars and say, "Oh, that's Chuck Berry, that's Slash, that's Randy Rhoads, that's Noel Gallagher." This guitar, if you just walked in and didn't know that this was a promotional thing, you would never associate this guitar with Noel Gallagher and Oasis. You'll definitely associate the 355, the big cherry red 355. You'll definitely associate a J200 along with 100 other artists that use J200s. But, that might pop into your head. And maybe a Les Paul, Heritage Cherry Sunburst Les Paul, because he plays that a lot. He plays that a lot on stage. But this guitar is not something that he ever played. He only played it during this promotional, sale from Gibson. So I was really thinking about buying this as a collector, but I was like, you know what? Like I don't have that kind of money to just throw away on guitars because like this kind of guitar, you're not going to play it. You don't play this guitar. You collect this type of guitar. This probably going to be a limited run, or a fairly limited run. It might not be limited to 25. It might be limited to maybe a couple thousand, but still, you don't play this guitar, right? You hold on to it. You keep all the paperwork with it. You don't mess with it, and hopefully it goes up in value. Or you keep it on the wall with other collections of other guitars that you don't touch, kind of like some of the Beatles stuff that I have on the wall. So these I kind of don't like. I would love to have a 355 Noel Gallagher guitar, but they're like $30,000. It's ridiculous. And I would play that. As much as it is, I would play that guitar out because it's Murphy Lab, it's distressed, it's relicked already. I would have no problems playing that out, or worrying about it getting stolen or anything like that. But this I kind of feel weird about, right? This just doesn't feel right to me. And I'm actually surprised that Noel went along with this, because Noel is very if you listen to Oasis songs, he's very blue collar, kind of like he's for the working class and stuff. And this kind of just doesn't feel like that. This feels very corporate and very, money grab kind of thing. And again, I don't blame Gibson for doing this. They're a company that wants to make money. They got to sell guitars to make money. And if they're going to stay in business, and we all want them to stay in business, they have to sell guitars. So I don't fault Gibson for this, for doing this and slapping somebody's name on it. It just, to me, it just doesn't feel right. So that was the first one that I wanted to discuss with you guys. The second one was this, and this one came out of nowhere. Kirk Hammett Raven acoustic guitar. Now, if you ever think of Kirk Hammett and guitar playing, first of all, I don't even think of Gibson, to be really honest with you. I've listened to Metallica my entire life. I was born in the 80s, so Ride the Lightning was the first album I kind of got my hands on. Justice for All, the Black Album was what my formative years, my high school years, was the Black Album. I don't think of him as a Gibson player, except maybe the Flying V, or maybe an Explorer here and there. But I think of him more of those Super Strat kind of Kramers, Hamers, whatever they're called, with the pointy headstocks. But they look like Strats, and they have Frankenstein on them, and because he loves all those kind of horror movies and stuff. I think of him with those guitars. I don't think of him with Les Pauls. I've seen them a bunch of times, and I never saw him playing those growing up. In all the music videos, it was always kind of like those Super Strats of the time period. And I definitely don't picture him playing acoustic guitars. I don't think I've ever seen Kirk Hammett play an acoustic guitar in my entire life. Even on all the documentaries you see of Kirk Hammett, I don't see him playing acoustics. I bet he does, right? If you watch the Gibson, the collection videos with him speaking with Mark Agnesi, he has acoustics. It was kind of weird to see them pull out acoustics during that episode, but they did. So here what we have is essentially, I'm pretty sure this is just a hummingbird, painted black with double pick guards with ravens on them because he likes spooky stuff, right? We know Kirk Hammett likes spooky stuff, and this is kind of like Edgar Allan Poe themed, right? I think that's what we're going at, which I think the star inlays, I think that was a weird choice for this. Why star inlays? You're going for spooky, you're going for creepy, you're going for macabre. Why not? There's a moon on here. They've done moon inlays before on SGs and Flying V's. Why not put moon inlays on there? Stars don't say creepy to me. Stars say, you know, right? But the Ravens are cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a cool guitar, and I don't hate it. And I know black paint is not supposed to be the best for acoustics, and I know double pick guards are not supposed to be the best for acoustics because anything, that kind of stuff stops the top from vibrating, and that's where all the magic comes from with acoustics. But they say those Everly Brothers guitars they sound insanely good, and they got giant double pick guards on them. So I'm not gonna pick on them for that or anything. That's pretty cool at the bottom, but like, this is a Kirk Hammett signature guitar. I mean, they went to Kirk Hammett and said, hey, make an acoustic guitar that you think would be cool. And this is what he came up with. But is this a Kirk Hammett signature guitar? I mean, technically it is because he put his name on it. That's pretty cool. I like that. They should have done that in all the inlays. They should have just put Raven parts, or Raven skeleton parts in it. I mean, even on the back, like, he's holding an electric guitar in the picture on the back of the guitar. Like, he's not, I don't know. This just feels weird to me. They make like Halloween themed guitars, don't they? I watched Trogley's guitar show, and they make like what's it called? Black Widow guitars that are like spider themed and like Halloween themed. Why'd they have to go and throw Kirk Hammett's name on this? It just seems, and it's not cheap. It's $5,000. Like, I think, I'm not sure what a regular hummingbird would be, but I'm pretty sure this is just a hummingbird. It's a square-shouldered dreadnought. Let's see. Metallica's lead guitarist Kirk Hammett has teamed up with master luthiers, an audacious counterpart to the legendary Gibson hummingbird. Yeah, so it's a hummingbird. This is a hummingbird with Raven inlays and Kirk Hammett's name plastered on it. So let's see what a normal hummingbird costs. So a normal hummingbird, standard hummingbird, is $4,000, right? So you're going to pay an extra $1,000 for black paint and a Raven pickguard and star inlays. Again, I'm not faulting Gibson for this. They have to make money. This is a way to make money. They sold out of it, right? It worked. There are collectors out there, and I wish I was one of them. I really do. If I had the money, I would 100% have bought this and thrown it on the wall and, had it in a collection and not touched it. But I don't have that kind of money. So I try to spend my stuff or my money and do my trades on stuff that I think I could possibly use in the future. There's really only one guitar on that wall that I wouldn't play out, and that's that Gretsch. Right, that George Harrison Gretsch is absolutely immaculate. I got it from somebody who kept it immaculate, and I'm not going to be the first one to put a scratch on it. Because then if I ever want to sell it, it brings the value down. So I don't want to do that. So this guitar, I wouldn't be playing this guitar. It would be hanging on the wall. But again, is it a real Kirk Hammett signature guitar? Technically, yes, but I don't think of signature guitars like that. I think of the thing that is unique to them, like their signature. That's why they call it a signature guitar, because it's unique to them, like it's their signature. It's their stamp. It's what is part of them. It's supposed to represent them. This, to me, doesn't represent Kirk Hammett. Now, the last one is really the only one that I kind of don't have an issue with, and this is the Epiphone Bonehead Riviera. So, if you don't know who Bonehead is, he is the rhythm guitarist for Oasis. And he was the original guitar player in the band. I think he did the first 2 or 3 albums. He definitely did the first 2. I'm not sure if he did the 3rd album. He actually quit the band on his own accord to spend more time with his family and to, have a better family life. They were getting really big. They were touring the world all the time. They were probably never home. He had a family. He wanted to spend time with them. And I think he's crazy for doing that, but good for him. He still reaps all the benefits of being, on those records. I'm sure he's a millionaire because of those records. And he got to tour the world with Oasis, and everyone loves him. He's Bonehead. And he recently was on the reunion tour with them, which everybody was ecstatic about, including myself. And he literally sits there and plays an Epiphone since the beginning. And it was just like, it wasn't a elitist Epiphone. It wasn't like a custom Epiphone. It wasn't a vintage Epiphone. It was like a Epiphone right out of the store in England or in Japan or wherever the heck he was when he bought it. And he was just sitting there. He would just sit there and strum, and he was the rhythm guitarist for Oasis. That's my dream job, right? My dream job is to be Bonehead, just sit there and play power chords while Noel friggin' and Liam do their thing in Oasis. I would give the world for that job. And they put his name on the back of this headstock, and it's like a 335, right? I think it's like a mixture of a 335 and a Casino, except it doesn't have P90s. I want to say it's fully hollow. We can go down in the description and see what it's like, because it has the trapezoid inlays like a Casino, but it has humbuckers like a 335, and it has his signature on the back of the headstock. And I like this because I know he's sick. Bonehead has recently left the tour for a little while because he needs chemo treatments because he has cancer, and they knew he had cancer before they started going on tour. But that's really, it's kind of sad, and hopefully he gets something out of, monetary wise, out of putting his name on this guitar. Again, they've sold out. It says notify me when available, so it seems like they're going to make more of it. With the Raven one from Kirk Hammett, it said sold out, so that might have been a limited one and done run, where this they might make more of. Now, I wish I would have bought the Noel Gallagher Riveras back in the day, or the Sheridans back in the day, the ones that were painted like the Union Jack, because now they're like $1,500, and I can't see paying $1,500 for an Epiphone that I could have got for $500 10 years ago. But I like the fact that maybe this is helping him out. I don't know if it is. That's just kind of wishful thinking on my end. I hope it's helping him out somehow, get the treatment that he needs. And I hope he pulls through with it. And I just like that a person that isn't necessarily a flashy player or, a ripping leads, shredder type guitar player is getting, some accolades for what he does. Now, is he getting the accolades because he's sick? Is he getting the accolades because Noel asked Gibson and said, hey, throw Bonehead a bone, no pun intended? Or did they really want to do that for him? Either way, I don't mind this. And for that reason, number one, hopefully it helps him and helps out his cause with being sick. Or number two, I like it because it's the actual guitar that he played, right? When you think of Bonehead, or when Oasis fans think of Bonehead, this is the guitar they think of. They don't think of any other guitar because he doesn't play any. He doesn't switch guitars ever. He doesn't switch tunings, nothing. This is the guitar that he plays. Every once in a while, they'll bring him an acoustic so he can do some acoustic songs with Noel. But if it's an electric song that he's playing electric guitar on, it's this Epiphone Riviera. So I love this, and I might actually buy this. I want to do some research. I want to see if any of the proceeds go to his family or anything like that. And if they do, I'm going to pick up one of these because it does come with a hard shell case, which I like. It does come with a hard shell case. So let's see the highlights of this. I want to see if this is a full hollow body. Center. Oh, it has a center block. Okay. So a true Casino or a isn't going to have any center. It's going to be totally hollow in the middle. There's not going to be any center block in it. So this is more like a 335 version of an Epiphone. because it has the center block going down the center. So it's not going to feed back as much, which is pretty good. So that is what I wanted to talk about today. Tell me what you think. Do you think this is just a cash grab from Gibson? Are you mad about it? Because I'm not mad about it, but it's like, it's not anger. I'm not mad at Gibson. It's just like, why are you doing that? Like, I don't know. I'm more surprised, I think, at Noel Gallagher and Kirk Hammett for being part of that than I am Gibson, because you would expect a company to try to cash in on something like that. But you would kind of expect, your rock stars to be like, listen, let's do something that, is more, tied to me instead of just coming out with something and throwing my name on it kind of thing. Unless it's going to a charity or something like that. If that's what it's going to, then that's one thing. But I don't think this is. And for someone, especially like Noel, who he kind of seems like he's anti that, to do something like that kind of seems weird to me. So I like it and I don't like it. I'm sure if I had the money to blow on these guitars, I would have bought them without even thinking about it, and this wouldn't even be a video. So I don't want to be like on a high horse or a soapbox. And and if you buy these guitars, more power to you. God bless you. I wish I had all of them, right? I wish I had every single one of them. So, I don't want to be a hypocrite or anything like that, but it did. I saw the post on Instagram for the Noel Gallagher Les Paul, and I was like, huh. And I hit shop now on Instagram, and it brought me to the page, and it was there. It was $3,000, and I was like, I have that Gibson credit card. I haven't used it yet, so I have all my credit on there, and I'll get 24 months, no financing or no interest. And I hit add to cart, and it was in my cart, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm never gonna play this. I'm never gonna bring this out on stage. Noel never played this. Why am I gonna play it? I rather save that $3,000 and put it towards a $355 if I can find one. So yeah. So that's how I feel about that. So tell me how you feel, right? Tell me how you feel down in the comments. Hit subscribe. Hit the follow. Follow me on Instagram. So until next time, see you later, everybody. Peace out.